Inheritance in the royal family is rarely just about money. It is about legacy, loyalty, and power, quietly passed through generations, embedded in trust funds, artifacts, estates, and titles. It is a matter negotiated not only through legal documents, but through public duty, personal proximity, and blood. And in a monarchy shaped as much by what is unsaid as by what is signed, inheritance becomes a mirror of royal identity itself. Who is inside, who is outside, and who is watching from the edges. Queen Camilla has always existed in a complex place. As the second wife of King Charles III, her position within the monarchy is legally solid, yet emotionally delicate. She is Queen Consort, an unprecedented title granted with the blessing of the late Queen Elizabeth II, after decades of public skepticism and cautious rehabilitation. But unlike Catherine, Princess of Wales, Camilla's role was never built with succession in mind. She arrived at the top through love, not lineage. And though she now walks beside the sovereign, the path behind her branches sharply away from the bloodline. Camilla's two children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, are not royal by birth or title. They do not carry the Windsor name. They are not in the line of succession, but they are, by any ordinary measure, family. The question that quietly lingers is how close that familial bond stretches when the inheritance of kings is at stake. Royal assets are divided into three broad categories. First, the crown estate, which belongs to the monarchy as an institution, not the monarch as an individual. It is vast, generating hundreds of millions in annual revenue, but its holdings cannot be passed on like personal wealth. Second is the Duchy of Lancaster, a private portfolio managed by the sovereign for income. Though technically separate from the crown estate, it is expected to pass from monarch to monarch. The third category, and the most sensitive, is private wealth: money, jewelry, land, and possessions accumulated by individual members of the royal family, governed by wills and protected by discretion. It is within this third realm that tensions, however quiet, can simmer. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, her private wealth, estimated at more than £400 million, was not publicly itemized. No official breakdown was released. No detailed account confirmed who received what, but it was widely reported, without legal contradiction, that King Charles inherited the bulk of her personal estate. Thanks to a royal exemption, he did so free from inheritance tax. That exemption applies only to transfers between sovereigns. When Charles eventually passes his private fortune, no such rule will apply. Camilla is now his wife, but her children are not his heirs, and this is where legacy becomes personal. Historically, the monarchy has drawn a sharp line between personal inheritance and the crown's long-term interest. Heirs within the royal bloodline, particularly those in the direct line of succession, are protected by both tradition and design. Prince William will not only inherit his father's private wealth, but also assume control of the Duchy of Cornwall. Catherine, as his wife, stands beside a future king and the mother of a future queen or king. Their children are already positioned to inherit not just material wealth, but the symbolic weight of the monarchy itself. By contrast, Camilla's children have always remained respectfully in the background. They attend occasional royal events, they have appeared at coronations and public celebrations, but they do not speak for the crown. Their roles are private, their names not carried on government rolls or in court circulars. In that sense, their connection to monarchy is social rather than institutional. Still, in a family where perception often shadows substance, proximity to power can create expectations. Some observers wonder whether Camilla might wish to secure something of Charles's personal fortune for her children, not out of greed, but out of maternal instinct. Others believe the Queen Consort is more interested in ensuring that her children are remembered, if not as royals, then as loyal members of the monarch's inner circle. But whether that sentiment translates into estate planning or political tension remains opaque. What is certain is this: the public has never seen Camilla's children as inheritors of royal responsibility. And within the palace, where hierarchy defines access, even small shifts in expectation can be read as encroachment. Princess Anne, Charles's sister, has long stood as a figure of restraint and discipline within the monarchy. She rejected titles for her own children, preferring a life of private service over public fanfare. She is widely regarded as one of the most hard-working royals, with a strong sense of institutional integrity. If speculation has ever suggested tension between Anne and Camilla, it is not personal, it is philosophical. For Anne, the crown is not a social circle to be extended, but a symbol to be preserved. Any movement to extend royal inheritance beyond the bloodline could be seen as a threat to that principle. Then there is Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Her position as the wife of the heir apparent places her in a uniquely powerful space, not only as a future queen, but as a guardian of the monarchy's next generation. Her public image is one of quiet discipline, a contrast to the turmoil that once surrounded the royal household in the 1990s and 2000s. While she has never publicly commented on Camilla's family, her place in the hierarchy speaks volumes. If anyone is expected to safeguard the royal legacy for George, Charlotte, and Louis, it is Catherine. The notion that Camilla's children could inherit anything related to the monarchy, titles, roles, or assets, is not legally impossible, but it would be unprecedented. Any such move would likely require either a private decision by Charles or a public announcement by the palace, both of which would trigger scrutiny. More importantly, it could raise uncomfortable comparisons. What message would it send if a non-royal, by virtue of being the child of a queen consort, received access to royal fortune, while loyal insiders like Anne's children remain untitled and unclaimed? There is no evidence that any active dispute exists among these royal figures. No statement, no leak, no visible fracture. But royal history is shaped as much by silence as by conflict. The question of who inherits what has always been a matter of strategy, especially when public money, symbolic power, and national identity intersect. The crown survives not by sharing wealth, but by concentrating it. That is the lesson of monarchy. And it is also why any suggestion that Camilla is seeking to alter the flow of inheritance, even subtly, must be treated not as a scandal, but as a test of loyalty. In all likelihood, Camilla's children will inherit from their mother, not from the crown. They will receive gifts, legacies, perhaps trust arrangements, privately structured, quietly administered. But they will not be custodians of royal memory. That responsibility will pass, as it always has, to those within the bloodline, to William and Catherine, to their children, and to those who carry the Windsor name into the next century. Still, the underlying issue remains relevant. In a modern monarchy, where family and duty are often interwoven, the question of who belongs never fully disappears. The presence of Camilla's family at royal events suggests informal acceptance, but acceptance is not recognition, and recognition, in royal terms, is not affection, it is inheritance. As King Charles navigates the complex architecture of modern monarchy, streamlining its members, trimming its costs, and protecting its future, the decisions he makes about inheritance will shape more than private fortunes. They will shape how the public sees the monarchy's purpose. Is it a family, a business, a symbol, or a state? And in that perception lies the power to preserve or to unravel. Camilla, queen consort, remains a central figure in this moment of transition. Her presence beside the king marks the end of a long road from scandal to statehood. But even now she remains adjacent to the line, not in it. Her children, however loved, remain outside the crown's reach, and that is where they are likely to stay. The true legacy of the monarchy will not be measured in diamonds or deeds, but in the silent decisions made when no one is watching. Who receives a title? Who receives an invitation? Who stands on the balcony? Who walks alone? In that silence, the crown speaks, and what it says will echo long after the current reign ends.